News. I am Khushbu Soni, your host for the broadcast and a contributing editor at CIO News. Welcome to our episode 3 of our series, New Age Collaboration and Digital Customer Experience, powered by Tata Communications. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website, which is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. In our today's session, we have Mr. Debashis Singh, the Senior Vice President and Chief Information Officer at Mphasis. Debashis is a technology and a business visionary leader with experience in envisioning and leading growth-based initiatives, fast-track management career marked by demonstrated ability to build peak performance teams and achieve cross-functional business objectives. Debashis is experienced in both startups as well as large corporates, with rich experience of more than 20 years in the IT and IT/ITS industry. Welcome, Debashis. It's a pleasure to have you today.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me here. Thrilled to kind of get the discussion going. I'm sure part of the discussion will learn a lot of things from each other. Let's continue.
Absolutely. So today, along with Debashis, I also have Jeyavelan. He's the head and Mecca for India and Mecca region for business and unified collaboration communications at Tata Communication. Jay has 25 years of experience in collaboration business, working with various brands such as BT, Aircel, Net4, etc. Welcome, Jay.
Welcome. Thanks, Khushbu, for welcoming me, and I'm happy to be in session with Debashis as well. Yeah.
Great. So I would like to begin with, we are already aware of the brand Mphasis, right? But it would be great to hear from you if you can give us a quick brief on Mphasis and its business in India.
Sure, absolutely. Mphasis is a mid-tier IT services company, started in 1998 to be precise. As in date, we're roughly around 30,000 strong employees as per the last declared result. A revenue of around 1.3 billion US with a market cap of 4.5 billion. We are largely owned by the largest private equity firm in the world, Blackstone. Around 56% of our stake is owned by Blackstone, and rest, we are a listed company in India. So rest is all owned by different individuals and business houses. In terms of our business side, we are an IT services company focusing primarily on new age transformation. There are certain areas that we coined those GTM strategies in the market. One being used extremely across the industry, which is front to back transformation, which is more a digital transformation way of doing things. And if you look at Mphasis legacy, we are extremely strong in the BFSI segment. And this front to back really kind of was a model created for the BFSI. And today we kind of leverage it across. What it kind of does is in a traditional BFSI, as we know, these are the industry who invested in technology ahead of any other. And because of the large investment happening at a very early stage, today they have become legacy. And over the period, a lot of changes, a lot of bolt-on into the system which has happened. And it is really a nightmare for the CIOs of large BFSI companies across the world to kind of do a complete change of their infrastructure. And that is where we come on this front-to-back transformation come to play. What it does is, because we are working with these large enterprises for long, so we understand the backend. So we bring the expertise of understanding of the backend, and we are a company of a new age cognitive world. So we create a middle layer in between, which kind of creates connector to the backend to get the content and the data. At the same time, creates the front end, which is maybe multiple new age fintechs and other companies are using it, and bridge this to using the new age cognitive technologies like your analytics, deep learning, AI and machine learning, and so on and so forth. So this is what the front to back transformation at a very, very high level. And this is something really, really goes pretty well with our customer base. And kind of that is what translates to our revenue share as well. Today, if you look at Mphasis revenue share, almost 60% revenue comes from the BFSI segment for us. And out of that, from the total revenue standpoint, 76% is from the Americas area. So that says in terms of the popularity of this particular model, it really goes very well with our customers. From the overall application landscape standpoint, the support standpoint, the traditional application support, which is the IT services, that is roughly around 60% of our revenue. BPO and BPS area, which is roughly around 25% or so, and balance is in infrastructure services. So that is how the revenue split for us. From a presence perspective, we are present across the globe, multiple locations in the US, multiple locations in Europe, APAC, and India. So distribution standpoint, majority of our employees in India, roughly around 22,000, and rest around 8 to 10,000 people spread across the globe. So that is at a nutshell about Mphasis. Happy to be kind of talking about it. Thank you so much.
Great. Very great insights from you, Debashis. And also, while you mentioned that, BFSI is one of the industry that, the organization specifically works for and caters to. I wanted to understand, with the current challenges and the unprecedented times that we have gone through of COVID, how did you kind of, manage? Because BFSI being one of the very essential industry, it was an industry which had to work even in this time. So, so how did you kind of manage to provide, manage these projects, collaborate with employees, solve project issues, give updates to stakeholders, customers on the real-time basis? So how did you really manage in the current times?
Sure. I will answer this in two parts. First part being ready to probably deliver services in the current transformed or a changed way of business delivery that we're talking about, right? So if you look at Mphasis, as we are into IT services, it was nothing new for us in terms of doing remote support or remote delivery for that matter, or work from home to kind of name it. But doing it as a large scale and for a very, very longer duration, that was the difference, right? So what really came handy when the pandemic hit us last year, if you look at Mphasis journey so far, today, we run 100% out of cloud. It's an enterprise of this size running 100% out of the cloud. That essentially means the dependency on our on-prem setup is absolutely zero. So even if you are running out of the office within the four walls, you essentially connect to different cloud environments sitting inside and deliver services to your customer, or you consume services from the enterprise. So that was the back-end part of it. So what changed was the front end in terms of scale and the duration of it. And on top of that, you touched upon the BFSI. There's one of the most regulated industry. They have got a lot of requirements, more from the compliance, more from the data security and privacy perspective. And that was initially a challenge to kind of find ways to deal with it, because we have access to, by virtue of being part of this, access to a lot of PII for customers, which is our customers' clients, right? So as the bank's customers, we have the visibility into that. And we do a lot of mortgage processing. So we have got complete visibility of the PII information. And those information getting leaked is a huge risk for not only for us, for our customers as well. So that was a challenge in the initial time. And many of our customers were not comfortable to start the kind of do a work from home for those kind of services. So what we did from a technology standpoint, and that is what is said, that when you have a requirement, you become, you create solutions, you become innovative, right? So we are pushed to corner to figure out mechanism how to deal with the situation for a smaller portion of the regulated business that we had. So we are aware of something called proctoring solution, which is used extensively in the examination world. Typically, the online exams that happens, the platform they use is called proctoring platforms, which has the ability to capture your camera and it tracks everything around you. meaning that nobody can do a shoulder surfing, that somebody can see the content of your screen, or you cannot have paper and clean desk policy and so on and so forth. And you can't even try to take a capture of the screen, be it from the keyboard or from a mobile phone or a camera physically around you. So those are the controls which was required to be kind of enforced in the initial time, for two reasons, right? One, ensuring the PII information doesn't get leaked. At the same time, building the confidence with the customer that we are not doing something which will put our customer at spot at a later date. That is one side of it. The second side, from the employee standpoint as well, there is always a possibility of something happening without the knowledge of employees. And let's talk about the real life. As we all know, in IT world, a lot of youngsters really are working here, and they kind of share their homes and residences with people from the industry, right? So there is a possibility, without your knowledge, maybe your roommate or somebody around may be looking at your screen, which is not intentional, but by virtue of having the access, there is a possibility of leakage happening. And if the data leak happens from your side, although you are not done it intentionally, but ultimately the accountability comes to you. So employee has put on spot at a later date, which is not intentional. So this kind of solution ensures that nobody at risk. The enterprise is not at risk, employee is not at risk. At the same time, the customer is also happy. So that is the kind of solutions we brought in the initial time. I'm talking about more than a year back. And I'm happy to say that a lot of customers really appreciated that, and they found a lot of value around it. And initially, they had that hesitancy in terms of allowing doing work from home, but they subsequently allowed it with those kind of solutions. And the rest of the business that we know, typical application development and support, that works without any challenges from a work from home environment. So that continued because we are running completely from the cloud. Yes, there was one angle to look at, which was the security side of it. Because traditionally you are operating inside the office, so your security mechanisms are all structured around it. So that required a complete revamp. And as you know, agility and speed matters in today's world, and any IT company will definitely will do that. And we also kind of immediately jumped into it, got some solutions which will ensure we achieve the similar level of controls and access restrictions, and ensuring the data and the privacy of the customer information is kind of kept the way it is expected as per the contract, as per the statutory needs. So those are the controls we put in place, and things was managed. But as we got into that, later we realized there are challenges coming up, and productivity started dropping because of people-related, human-related issues. When I say people, I'm not talking about individuals. It is more the human touch. Because after a few months, everybody started realizing that they're missing something. Right. And typically we are humans, we are social animals, and we need that human touch. We cannot be confined to four walls all the time. And as you know, in US companies, it is pretty common to see a lot of employee engagement programs, which used to happen inside the office within the four walls, be it entertainment, be it all of different types of engagement. So that came out as one of the gap in initial 45 days to 60 days time. So we then worked on that, created multiple platforms, and as we speak, starting from online yoga to mental health, to different health-related inputs, experts coming and talking about it, online games, engagements, those things started kind of evolving out of it. So I think after 1 year plus today, I believe not only Mphasis, possibly every company would have done that, but we have definitely done much better in terms of the comfort that we see from the employee standpoint. And if you look at a reflection of that in terms of attrition and the employee satisfaction survey that we run, that is all back to normal. And we feel proud about it in terms of the solutions we have brought in place, which is enabling not only the work, at the same time ensuring the engagement, the comfort of the employees, the privacy part of it, everything is really taken care of. So that's something which I would like to say. Yeah.
Awesome. I think firstly, I think it is very good to hear that Mphasis is completely on cloud, and there is absolutely no on-prem setup, right? I mean, that's very rare to hear. I mean, there obviously with the time that you've been in the industry, I think Jay can also give his insights since he keeps interacting with a lot of customers. And it's very rare to hear, and it's good to hear when organization and the CIO says that they are promoting cloud and they are 100% on cloud.
Right.
Absolutely.
I think it's easy for the newest companies. They're cloud born, but companies like Mphasis, who's almost 25 years old, it is difficult because you are running everything on-prem. Migrating from that to a cloud environment, it has got its own plus and minus, right? So ensuring your stakeholders, your user are aligned to that, and of course taking the kind of all the nuances of migration and ensuring things doesn't drop anywhere. That is definitely a huge task. And I think when we started, we had a lot of challenges because of expertise not being around in the industry. I mean, everybody knows about their own platform. Like you talk to Microsoft, they will talk about Azure and they can do everything in Azure. But in reality, you don't probably put all the eggs in one basket, and then may not have solutions which will be best on the Azure platform. So you need maybe Azure, maybe a GCP, maybe AWS, maybe Oracle Cloud, and so on and so forth. But bringing all together and ensuring there is a seamless experience from the user standpoint, at the same time, you are not kind of dropping the ball anywhere by compromising either your security or delaying your online activities, because it's all interconnected, right? So those are the challenges we had in the initial time, but we have learned out of it. And yes, it was a journey of almost few years, which we completed last year. So we are good there. Thank you.
Absolutely. In fact, Khushbu, I would strongly agree to what Debashis has been highlighting. And in fact, as I said in the past, when we worked on the projects, the thought leadership Debashis has been displaying all that what he has already kind of put in across to us. Debashis is right, absolutely, because, and as you rightly said, when we engage with the multiple, the C-level individuals in a different organization, what we see is that exactly the same. Obviously, there is a born cloud guys today in the world, and there is a legendary companies like what we've been discussing, right? Between the born cloud and the legendary, the experience that what we should take today to the market or the larger global enterprises is that something like today's, be it a pandemic actually accelerated the cloud adoption or whatever the situation it forces. Anywhere operation is a must. When it comes to an anywhere operations, reach customer anywhere, right? So that's primary objective. Enable employees anywhere, the users anywhere. That is another aspect of it. And use technologies to deliver the business services anywhere. So all this is the combination. So you can't miss anyone, and you can deliver the experience to the customer. That's the one aspect of it. The other aspect of what Debashis actually highlighted, there are companies niche in what they're actually doing it, and there are hyperscalers like what we heard from Debashis, Microsoft, or equivalent similar companies are willing to do the things on a larger scale and a wider scale, right? The point I would strongly agree to Debashis is that it is not about what an individual company doing it. It is all about how companies giving the integrated story to them. You take any technology, or at least if you can limit this to UC and CC, the Unified Communication and Conduction, the platform, there are the larger three components are the platforms. It can be any platform and the number of applications. The applications can be many, right? So whatever the customer application is looking at, that could be the number of applications plus the connectivity part of it. There are the large giant players in the platform side. There are hundreds and thousands of players in the application side. And similar is the case with the connectivity as well. But if you need to look at who's going to give that integrated story, the offering, and who's actually addressing the specific crystal clear requirement of the customer, and that's where the differentiation stands. And that can happen from the legendary players as well as the born cloud as well. But I see the thing is not about digital transformation or cloud adoption and all that. It is about how who's going to give that integrated story to the fullest, or addressing the fullest need of the customer at the application. I would strongly agree with the basis for yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. I think my follow-up question is also around the same. So maybe, if Debashis, if you can start with, giving more insights on what factors do you consider, and what factors did you considered in these years while migrating to cloud and digital platforms, and with all this current trend, if you can share your insights on that, and then you can also add insights.
So just to reconfirm, I understood the question correctly. You were talking about the digital platforms, what we have done and how we have done it. Okay, all right. So this is it's a very interesting topic. And today's world, as we know, within the enterprise, everybody behaves as an consumer, end consumer, right? And that is because of the presence and our exposure to Amazons and Ubers of the world. That is what has raised the customer expectation or the employee expectation to a much, much larger level compared to what it used to be in the past. Having said that, the need is, because today if you look at Amazon, what it does not create solution for a set of customer base. It creates solution for a unique customer, which is an individual. And that is what the expectation inside the enterprise as well, be it your customer, be it your employees. Your customer is not ready to take a solution which you have done for peer of that customer. Like, let's say Bank A is not ready to accept the solution as Bank A has taken for a Bank B, right? And so on and so forth. And similar behavior we are seeing inside the enterprise as well from the employee standpoint. Let's talk about a manager. Manager is a persona inside the enterprise, and you may create a particular view based on a persona. That is what being driven so far in the industry for many years. But today managers are saying, hey, that doesn't work for me. I'm a delivery manager for this kind of project. I am not ready to look at a view that a delivery manager looks at maybe for a BPS business or a business which is in the insurance sector or in a banking sector and so on and so forth. So everybody is demanding or having an expectation of their own world, and which is unique to them. So how to achieve that? And that is what decides your digital transformation. Because when you say digital, it is not making everything online and you say I'm digital. That is not what digital is all about. That is computerization. So digital is all about when you can use the power of data to hyper personalize the solution and give that solution to your customers, your employees, to consume services on the fly, anytime, anywhere. That is what this digital is all about, right? And the enterprise generally, I've interacted with so many my peers and of course in the industry. Many a time the mistake people do is they create a digital strategy for the enterprise without focusing on data strategy. So data strategy, as per me, is the foundation layer. First, focus on your data, understand where your data is residing, how you will differentiate which data is the correct data. Because data, end of the day, cannot have emotion. It is pure numbers. So you have to have the right data, because same data is seen by a finance team in a different angle, by a HR team in a different angle, by a delivery team in a different angle. But you can't have all three to be the truth. So truth is only one out of it. So arrive at that strategy, create that model fast. Once you have a very clear data strategy, then you should create your digital strategy on top of it by using the cognitive technologies. I mean, we have got enough tech capabilities across the world today in the industry today, be it deep learning, be it machine learning, be it any analytics we are talking about, right? So you apply those tools and those technologies on a set of data, which is the actual truth. And that is what data lake is all about, right? Once you have the real data, create a data lake and apply all these technologies, which will give you the intelligence. Once you have those intelligence, then you can create solutions on the fly, which is hyper personalized to that particular individual, because you have all the data of that individual inside the enterprise or your customer inside the customer database. So you have to kind of reach to that level of maturity to kind of render the real expectation which your customers or your employees are looking forward. And that is what, in my view, is called true digital transformation is all about. We are still working on that journey. Some areas we have achieved it, some area we are still work in progress, but we understand that space very, very well because we invested on certain labs way back in 2013 when these technologies were not even alien in this industry. So that is what is helping us in terms of being ahead to our competition, in terms of understanding what it takes to find the intelligence, which is very, very unique. And using that intelligence, how fast, how quick I can create solutions, which is hyper personalized for the individuals. So that is what we do. And taking a view on the industry perspective, let's take BFSI again. I mean, that's what our expertise area. One of the cases we are working with one of the customer. I mean, we all know that the entire banking transaction data is available with all the banks. Your nature of spend is available with the banks. What they're doing today? Are they really using this data? It is just laying somewhere in the records. And probably the statutory requirements are maintained by maintaining 7 years or whatever, right? But this data is dormant. It is not adding any value to create business solutions out of it. Because imagine the power of this data. If you can analyze the spend pattern of certain set of your customer, you can create solutions on the fly and directly target them very clearly saying, hey, this is what your nature of business expenses are, and this is the solution which is created for you. Imagine the difference it is going to create. And that is what the space we work. I mean, that's a space I can go and continue talking about it. But yeah, that's what we look at digital transformation and the platform, the way we work. That's how it is.
Excellent. Excellent. I think these are going to be very good insights for our viewers, certainly.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think we've talked about cloud. We've talked about the migration to cloud, digital transformation. What are the factors to be considered? You also gave insights about how challenging were the times to collaborate and connect with employees while working from home. My next question is around that. So wanted to understand what steps has your organization taken in terms of getting solutions in place. You mentioned that you got in a lot of collaboration solutions as well in place. So maybe if you can share some light on that, and also what steps have you taken in terms of SIP connectivity, to Microsoft Teams and WebEx nodes, and interoperability between new chat applications and voice capabilities?
Absolutely. So thanks for that question. So very quickly, we're a kind of heavily invested Microsoft software, that way I can say. So we use almost all the tools under the O65 umbrella of Microsoft, and Teams is one of them. So today, if you look at every employee across the globe, 30,000 plus employees that we have, everybody has a Teams client, and that becomes the de facto communication channel for the people across. And we do a lot of integration of our tools, and that is what the data strategy is all about. I was talking, right? Suppose you are inside an enterprise application. I'm doing a leave application, or I'm doing an expense claim application. So I'm inside that. I have a query. I need to check with someone to understand what should be filled in here, or I have some questions around it. Traditional way, come out of that, open a help desk application, go into inside that, then go find out a service catalog out of it, and put a request. Somebody is going to come back to you maybe after 1 hour sometime, and you get a solution. Again, you go back to your app and then fulfill the requirement. So what we have done is we use something called, we call that internally as intelligent chatbot. It is a bot, we call them Dexter. That's what the branded internally. This Dexter is integrated with all the applications that we have, all the interfaces that we have. Doesn't matter wherever you are. Any screen, you are inside that, Dexter is sitting there. So you start interacting with Dexter, and it's a two-way communication. And at the same time, we do a lot of service rendering over this platform as well. That means it is not just a chatbot to give you information. It executes, it fulfills the entire transactions for you. So that is the depth. Like It can apply a leave for you. It can tell you what is the best way you should take your leave. It goes to that intelligent level, saying, hey, you are taking a leave on Thursday. If you add Friday, Monday, Tuesday is also a holiday, and so on and so forth. And this is a scenario I'm giving. So it kind of gives you that level of personalization and communications with the individuals to kind of give you an interface which is interactive, at the same time helps you to fulfill your requirement, right? So that is one way of communication dealing with the services side of it. Then let's talk about between the teams. Like I'm working in a team. There's another team I have to collaborate with or interact with. So we use two platforms for that. One, primarily it's MS Teams, which is anyway integrated being part of O365. At the same time, we also use WebEx. So WebEx is designed for a more robust and possibly a larger audience kind of scenario. That is the time we use WebEx. If it is between one-to-one or maybe a limited team size interaction, we do Teams. That is the typical way we look at it. Now coming to your SIP integration part of it, how we deal with it. So WebEx is integrated with SIP. That means it gives the ability of an individual who is not connected on a system at that particular moment. Meaning I need to join a conversation, a collaboration requirement, but I am not online on my laptop or a smartphone. I just have a telephone number to dial in or dial out, right? So I can be part of the WebEx session and contribute because I have a SIP integration in the backend. So that is something that's already in the place. So that is what we use primarily for those kind of scenarios. If it is between individual to individual, system to system communication, then Teams is the platform used by across the organization.
Okay.
I hope I answered your question.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
So my next question is more around the customer service. So if you can share, how do you measure customer experience, and if you can share some light on the techniques for emerging customer experience, personas who can leverage that, and if you can share some techniques around that.
Absolutely. So CX in the today's world, probably the driver of business, and that is what, if you look at from Amazon to Google to all the large companies, then no more IT companies, right? There are companies. They are driven because of CX. They are focused on CX, right? The biggest brand in the world, Apple, driven by CX. So that is what is the driver which kind of enables them to reach wherever they are, and how they do that. Again, it all boils down to the technology, the data and everything, but coming to the point of measurement and how we deal with it, very clearly, I can say the two approach we take. One is the internal employee, that is our customer of the internal teams or internal organization, and our clients to whom we are delivering services, right? So there are two different approach here. Internally, it is all the integration that we do across between different platforms and different, as I was talking about, you can access anything, anywhere, anytime, right? You don't have to really, like I need to consume a service, I may be part of inside an email, and I have option inside the email to consume that service. Meaning I don't have to really go out of Outlook as the client and open a browser and invoke the application and then apply for a leave or something. We have something called Outlook plugin, which is available inside. So you do it there. Or you are doing something else, you have a Dexter, just text with Dexter to do whatever you want to consume. So this is how the internal part is done. But at the same time, we use the internal social platform called Yammer, which is part of, again, O365 bundle. And that enables us to kind of run multiple campaigns to understand what our employees are looking forward to. And as you understand, social platforms are open. There is no governance, there is no policing on those platforms. And then only you can reach to that level of social inside the organization. So we have kept it completely open. Everybody is free to put as whatever they feel like, good, bad, ugly. People just call that out in the Yammer platform, and we run analytics on top of it. We run analytics on top of it to capture every single, I can say, emotions and translate those emotions into action and take that into our CX approach, right? So that is one side in terms of internal to the customer, employees inside the enterprise. When it comes to the customer, the approach is a little different. You have to go in a very, very structured way, right? You can't take the social path because we are not in the B2C segment, we are in a B2B segment. And B2B is very, very structured all the time, right? So we take the standard third-party approach, reaching out through the third party in terms of understanding by running surveys and multiple other areas. And what we believe is, as an enterprise, if you measure us in terms of other IT services company, the maximum referenceability Mphasis has, none of our competition is having it. So majority of our customers are referenceable, and that you can only achieve when you have a customer experience which is beyond the standard limit, right? So we run multiple platforms for that as well, starting from the very basic, which is your CRM platform, which is a cloud-enabled platform, Oracle, to the extensive ones. We build specific solutions for specific customer engagements, right? Just though we do employee engagement, there are platforms for that. We have got customer engagement platforms as well. So that is what helps us to build that level of, I can say, connect with the customer, that you don't wait for a quarterly review to raise an issue. Starting from, there are operational connects, which happens part of the standard governance, like a daily, weekly, whatever. But this is something beyond that. It is more a perception driving exercise that we do. And that is what helps us to kind of achieve the level of customer satisfaction that we carry today.
Awesome. So wonderful insights. Jay, your thoughts on sharing techniques for customer experience while you've also been interacting. Definitely, since we're talking more from a B2B perspective, if you can throw some light on that, it would be great.
Absolutely. And in fact, and like everyone knows that, and like what we heard from Debashis as well, customer experience is not an option. It has to be. Somebody has to stay relevant in the business, and customer experience is critical, and it's not an option, right? So we need to be, and we heard the name, right? So be it any name, Apple, Google, anybody for that matter, whoever successful in their business actually has given a lot of focus for the customer experience. To that extent, customer experience is a critical pillar for any business. Coming to how do we ensure the customer experience? One, what you heard from Debashis in terms of the user engagement and the customer engagement part of it. Obviously, you need to give the better experience, be it for the user or be it for the customers, right? So only then the ecosystem will evolve together, and then we will have the better business outcomes. We can see it. In a technology like what, maybe specific to BFSI vertical. So what we've been doing it is that how do we be the technology partner or the ecosystem enabler for a particular customer in terms of addressing the specific business use case. One such thing is that store at home. Store at home is more from automobile sector. Given the pandemic scenarios, the guys who nobody wants to get out of their house, but they still wanted to live their life, right? So they want to look at the car, and if they want to make some purchase decisions and all that, so they can do all that sitting at home. It's a store at home. It's a virtual showroom experience that one can get, but it is the same experience that one can get in the exactly what they actually do in the showroom. So that's one business aspect of it. And similar to it, we have actually made multiple vertical basis business case. And coming back to BFSI vertical, we have got a lot of banking has got the relationship manager, right? And relations managers now, without relationship manager, banking cannot grow their business with the multiple users. Of course, the relationship manager is a critical component of the feature of the business. How we can make a more more accessible, or how we make this is more productive for any bank, right? So to that extent, we made a virtual relationship manager as a concept, and that technology we actually enabled it. What it means is that how we actually see a relationship manager in a daily life, sitting in a bank, and how he is managing the customer, and how the same virtual relationship manager's productivity can be improved by introducing a technology, making him virtual, but addressing so many customers, because the mobility is important, being virtual is also important, and the digital enable, because I don't know, because how many times I've been visited to my bank in the last few years, and then for anybody for that matter, right? So I have a personal banker, I'm just talking to him, so I just meet my requirements addressed by the virtual manager. And these are the kind of specific applications with respect to the industry that we need to update. And even today, most of the customer experience are proactive from most of them business, be it from my healthcare. I'm taking just name for an example. So one hospital is actually subscribed into it. They will be very proactive. So your medicine is actually needs to be refurbished or refilled. Your doctor checkup is and so on. So it's all this proactive. So when you get that experience, that's what it matters for the business, right? You've been constant touch with your clients, customers, that ensures and assures the business from the customers to the entity, right? And that's how, and like I said, basis on the different industry, be it healthcare, be it BFSI, be it automobile, be it insurance. We have so many use cases we've been enabling, and we are normally known as an ecosystem enabler for any company for that matter. And then that's what, like, it is not about the platform, it is not about the application, it is not about the connectivity. How one is simply giving the unified integrated story. And that technology enablement is smart, be it a user or a customer. So that's what it's all about, the customer experience, and it's very critical. Like I've been saying that if one has to be say relevant in the business, customer experience is not an option.
True, very true. Great. I think it was a great session. Wonderful insights, Debashis. Understanding your journey. And also your thought process on digital transformation, your best practices that you followed. Great insights. Thank you, Jay, for also participating and sharing your insights on how Tata Communication is currently managing more from a customer experience, cloud perspective, and unified communication perspective. So it was a wonderful session. I'm sure our viewers are going to get a lot of insights from this. So thank you once again for joining us today. And it was a pleasure to host you.
Thank you so much, Khushbu. It was a pleasure talking to you today. And thanks, Jay, for the inside view of Tata as well. Thank you.
Absolutely, Debashis. Thanks, and appreciate your time for this call. Thanks, Khushbu.